Quite a bit has progressed in the last year.
It's been a very busy year for us.
2 years have passed very quickly, and it's been intense.
We unveiled a new robot called Polaris. This is our ice drilling robot that's going to be sent to the pole of the moon.
We found a few factories able to provide us with space-grade components.
One of the major barriers that we've overcome is the difficulties of creating a company. We've moved 8 times. We started in a conference room.
The biggest challenge I think for our team is organize more than 200 people.
Right now the biggest challenge is to filter out the people within the team who really want to stay and commit.
We've been working hard on landing technology development. We have a sensor that we've put on a Humvee. We've put it on a helicopter now. And we actually were just selected by NASA to fly aboard a Maston lander.
We have invested significant time in a power supply that should go on board our CubeSat application. We have designed it, we have built it, we have tested it, we have redesigned it, rebuilt it, retested it, we have redesigned, and go on and go on and go on. And in the end, we've had to give up. We went home and pulled our hair and said, damn it, it's not working.
We recently hired people behind the success of some small commercial plane companies, and so we're really trying to bring together the right team to execute this mission.
Omega Envoy has made a lot of progress within the last year. We've been selecting our final flight components. We also obtained our first customer, which is Team Angelicum. They're going to be flying with us to the moon.
Our rover will be not so usual. In fact, we don't like wheels, and our rover will not have wheels. We will be like a kind of animal that we are proposing to launch to the moon.
We now know for a fact that our electronics will survive the radiation on the moon. We actually took all the electronics and put it into a test system. The electronics survived 5 times the already triple worst case radiation. And the only reason why it didn't survive more is because after 8 hours of testing, we actually wanted to go home.
We've actually found capacity for some payload space. We're going to be taking up to 100 reservations for CubeSats to Earth orbit at about 140 to 200 nautical miles. We found some capacity on our lander, up to 5 kilograms of spare capacity, so we can carry another payload to lunar surface.
It's not easy to raise millions of dollars, right? And it's especially not easy when half of the money you have to raise you have to give to a launch provider, which isn't you.
If you think about launch, there is no real development. Right now, the market is dominated by a number of fairly large operators who do not really have any interest in small satellites. You cannot go out and get a dedicated launch right now for 4 kilos, 5 kilos. A number of the press statements, if you read those things, say that the cost is falling and it's going to be easier and so on. But that's not the reality we're meeting.
Money is not really a problem in the sense of we can survive. And you have a big sponsor that has $10 billion to invest in only R&D.
Funding has not been an issue for us. We have had enough funding to keep all the wheels turning to date.
We're looking to obtain our last rounds of funding in order to complete our mission. And from that point on, it'll be a viable business.
We don't have full funding. It's not cheap to launch a rocket, and there's no such thing as a free ride.
Everyone talks about research and development, but when it's time to commit funds, then it's something else.
The big challenge that the Team Italia has to face is rising funding.
We've been trying to inspire Chilean entrepreneurs, and it's not been easy.
In Romania, space activity resonates only in the private sector because we have aerospace governmental organization who spend millions of dollars and the results are zero.
Commercial space industry, it's in its very early stages. The private industry do not take part in space exploration at all. Governments are not that efficient.
We applied for the government program, but there was no category for aerospace, so the fund was not given. So things like that happen.
So far, the biggest problem is to get the trust of the government to allow us to do such projects.
One of the biggest drivers of space exploration is the cost to get there.
If you are streamlined and efficient and have good engineers and good software, you can do things for a much lower cost.
There are a couple of things going on in the commercial space industry that I find fascinating. The first and the easiest one to point to is what SpaceX is doing to try to reduce the cost of launch. There are new companies around the world, not just in America, but around the world that are saying, with that potential coming through, there's more investment coming in, new companies being created.
It's going to be a moon rush, quite literally, and also other rushes into space to figure out all these other pieces. You'll have research labs, you'll have tourism will boom, resources in space will become tantalizing. You'll see more startups relating to that.
Our first launch is January of 2015. There will be at least 2 launches in 2015 and many, many more following that.
It would be, again, such a step for Hungary, just to show that you can manage it with little resources. A little country can do something big.
If ARCA will win, it will demonstrate that the small companies from the small countries can do what biggest companies from the field are doing.
Success begets success. That's something that everybody knows and understands, and we have reason to believe if we have a couple of small things go our way in the next quarter or so, we will be able to complete the mission.
One big achievement that we made is actually getting people excited about space exploration again.
You know, it's both a personal achievement, but also a teamwork achievement, and also for Israel. We are a small country. We have a group of volunteers, of these amazing volunteers, working hard at their spare time, putting a spacecraft on the moon. This will mean the world.
Our goal is about Penn State being a leader in the space industry for decades to come.
Every single team member is there because they love doing what they're doing, and it makes us a very powerful team.
And the Google Lunar XPRIZE, yeah, it's a little crazy, but we have to be that crazy. We have to be that crazy to move things forward and to progress.
If you asked somebody 20 years ago what kind of technology we have today in our pockets, nobody would believe you. And I think we can achieve the same with space exploration.